to the Once Again podcast. We are your hosts, Ashley and Jason. In this episode, we will be looking at the 1987 film, The Brave Little Toaster. In this series, we won't be doing a deep analysis of the film, or giving a bunch of behind-the-scenes facts, but rather giving our impressions of the overall film and the songs from the film. We'll also be giving a score to the film, and ranking the songs. So prepare yourself to watch a movie from your childhood that you haven't seen in decades, enjoy the fun beginning, and the 80s nostalgia of it, and also have childhood traumas unlocked from the inappropriately dark moments of this movie, and enjoy our episode. Yeah. The Brave Little Toaster is a 1987 American animated musical film based on the 1980 novella of the same name by Thomas M. Disch. Thomas M. Disch. Set in a world where domestic appliances and other consumer electronics come to life, pretending to be lifeless in the presence of humans. Gee, I wonder if...
That sounds so familiar, like other concepts I know of.
There might be another movie out there that kind of does the same exact thing.
Only comes out a couple years later.
Yeah, gee, I wonder. But the story of this focuses on 5 anthropomorphic household appliances, which include a toaster, a lampstand, a blanket, a radio, and a vacuum cleaner, who go on a quest to search for their owner. The film was produced by Hyperion Pictures and the Kushner Lock Company. Many Cal Arts grads, including the original members of Pixar Animation Studios. Pixar Animation Studios.
Pixar? What are you doing here?
I wonder. Were involved in this film. The rights to the book were acquired by Walt Disney Studios in 1982. Animator John Lasseter.
John Lasseter.
John Lasseter.
Which John Lasseter? Where do I know that name from?
Where does he pop up? Interesting. Then employed at Disney, wanted to do a computer animated film based on it. Gee, I wonder why a computer... It's Toy Story. They do Toy Story later.
John Lasseter's in charge of Pixar, guys.
Yeah, we're dropping all the pretense. This is...
This is Toy Story before Toy Story.
Yeah, I'll go back into the rest
Toy
of this
Story is not
information.
traumatic.
Yeah. This is Toy Story 1, 2, and 4 before Toy Story 1, 2, and 4 were Toy Story... While the film received a limited theatrical release, The Brave Little Toaster received positive reviews and was popular on home video. It also was followed by 2 sequels, The Brave Little Toaster to the Rescue in 1997 and The Brave Little Toaster Goes to Mars in 1998.
Subscribe to our Patreon and maybe we'll watch the other Brave Little Toaster films.
Yeah, I can't imagine they're going to be as traumatic as this one is, but we'll see. We might. Maybe,
I'd like to know. I'd like to know now.
That's something I was thinking of. Maybe we could do like reactions to them on Patreon or something like that. I actually started very shortly. I'm going to set us up with 2 mics and everything, and I have to use OBS to record at that point. And I was like, well, if I'm using OBS anyway, maybe like I could do video on Twitch or YouTube or something. And I decided against it for 2 reasons. One, because we have to be camera ready every time that we want to record then, and I don't feel like being camera ready every time we want to record.
I am fine being camera ready, but...
But 2, every time I hit the record button, Ashley just goes into the most racist tirades that I have to edit out of every episode. Like, as soon as I hit...
Rude! I don't do that!
As soon as I hit record, she goes... You know, the thing about Guatemalans is... And I'm like, oh, here we go again. So I decided it would be best not to do live recordings of the... I'm making that second part up. I just don't want to have to always be camera ready, because sometimes I don't feel like being camera ready to record, if I'm being honest. The film premiered at the Wadsworth Theater in Los Angeles on July 13th, 1987. With the producer's help, the film premiered at various festivals, including the Los Angeles International Animation Celebration in 1987 and the Sundance Film Festival in 1988. It made history as the first animated film ever exhibited at Sundance and remains the only one until 2001's Waking Life. Though the prize went to Rob Nielsen's Heat and Sunlight, before the award ceremony, director Jerry Reese claims he was told by the judges that they considered Toaster the best film, but they decided not to give the award to a cartoon as they considered people would not take the festival seriously afterwards. Though it's sometimes thought that the film was not released in cinemas because it failed to find a distributor, in reality, Art House Films Distribution Socorros Pictures took on the distribution rights for the theatrical release and was going to do evening screenings, noting it was more for college and young adults than kids. Agreed. Very much agreed.
100% agreed.
Yeah. However, Disney, who had invested in the video and television rights, according to Reese, did not want competition, so they moved the television premiere date up and ended up preventing it from being financially successful in theaters, forcing, I don't even remember how I said it before, Skokars to withdraw their deal. The film premiered on Disney Channel on February 27th, 1988. To compensate, Hyperion continued its plan to enter the film into various festivals and managed to secure limited theatrical airings at art house facilities across the United States, such as spending 2 weeks at the New York Film Forum in May of 1989 and shortly in Washington, D.C. in March of 1990. This helped to give the film a cult following. Reese thinks most people discovered the film through syndication on the Disney Channel or through home video release. In July of 1991, Walt Disney Home Video released the film to home video format via VHS and Laserdisc. In the UK, the VHS tapes were released under Polygram Videos and Carlton Videos in the 2000s, while in Australia, Roadshow Home Video held the rights. The DVD was released in September 2003 to tie in to the film's 15th anniversary. In the UK, Prism Leisure Corporation was in charge of it. In the UK, Prism Leisure Corporation was in charge of Disney's releases, commonly use a Laserdisc transfer from the 1990s, while Prism Leisure's DVDs uses a fresh transfer from an international print. I have no idea what I just read.
Me either.
While the sequels, The Brave Little Toaster to the Rescue and The Brave Little Toaster Goes to Mars, are available, the original film has yet to appear on Disney Plus or any video-on-demand services for that matter. The film had a budget of $2.3 million, or roughly $6 million today, and the box office, it broke even with $2.3 million. It premiered on July 13th, 1987 in Los Angeles.
Directed by Jerry Reese. Story by Jerry Reese, Joe Ranft, Brian McEntee, and Jim Ryan. Screenplay by Jerry Reese and Joe Ranft. Based on The Brave Little Toaster by Thomas M. Dish. Produced by Donald Kushner and Thomas L. Whyte. Wow.
Yeah.
Good. Edited by Donald W. Ernst. Music by David Newman. Production companies are Hyperion Pictures and Kushner Lock Company. The runtime is 90 minutes. Starring Deanna Oliver as Toaster, Timothy E. Day as Blanky, John Lovitz as Radio, Tim Stack as Lampy, Thurl Ravenscroft as Kirby, Wayne Katz as Master Rob McGorty, Phil Hartman as Air Conditioner, and Joe Ranft as Elmo St. Peters.
I didn't realize, Thurl's, even though I put these notes together, didn't realize that Thurl Ravenscroft was Kirby. That's where I know the name from, or the voice from, because I was like, who is the vacuum? I was like, who is the but it's Thurl Ravenscroft. He's been voice animation for a long time. So
he does a lot of the Disney. He's voiced a lot of the Disney rights. That's where I know him from very well.
Yeah.
Most notably, the Haunted Mansion narrator.
Very true. So we're gonna do, I guess how we've been doing it, where we just recall what we want to talk about. I don't know. Where do you want to... The movie starts off pretty fun. It
starts off pretty fun, It's a bunch of... Appliances.
They wake up for the day, and they're waiting for their master.
They're cleaning, they're doing their best. Mm-hmm. Blanky's sad because the master's not back.
Since it's a 1980s movie, they all have to kind of hate each other, even though they're friends. They're all kind of rude to each other at the beginning. But the Toaster...
Yeah, everybody's rude to Blanky. Even Toaster's Blanky.
Well, they're all rude to each other. They're all rude to the vacuum cleaner and stuff too. But I love how the Toaster tries to trick them into doing chores by we're gonna play a game. Okay, what's the game? Don't stop until everything's clean. Which I wish I had appliances that clean the house for my cabin if I had a cabin, but clean.
Also, everybody's dynamic is so strange because even Lampy gets almost jealous later on because he's You know, Toaster, you're like treating Blanky a little too nice.
Yeah.
And being a little too friendly with Blanky. What's up with that?
That-
It's like, Lampy, you in love with Toaster? Is Toaster in love with Blanky? What's going on?
His specific
Can
line...
they have a relationship?
His line is, "What's going on between the two of you? Like, hey, you guys gonna get down? Or like what is this?" I was like, what the hell?
Can Blanky and Toaster even get together?
Yeah,
How does that work?
I don't know. But they hear a car going by, and they're like, "Oh, the master's returned!" And they all hold up the blanket to get to the attic, and the car just drives by, the first one, and then they hear another car coming, and a person gets out of the car, and they're like, "Oh, he's finally returned, the master!" And then it's just a person putting a for sale sign, a realtor putting a for sale sign in front of the cabin, and they're all extremely disappointed. And then the jackass air conditioner comes on, which I remembered him, like...
I remember him being a jerk.
Yeah.
I don't remember him basically committing suicide.
Yeah.
I literally was watching that and went, he dead. He killed himself.
Before rewatching this movie, there were three things that I remembered. I remembered the air conditioner being a jerk, but I thought he had a much bigger role in the movie.
Me too.
I remembered the vacuum cleaner sucking up his own cord, and I remember that being extremely traumatic because he was like while it was happening.
Mm-hmm.
And the third thing I remembered was that the kid was grown up.
Yeah.
Like those were the three things I remembered about this movie before going into it. This movie, however, unlocked a whole bunch of hidden memories and traumas that I did not know I had with me. I had put them away. I needed therapy before this, but I certainly need more therapy
okay,
after
we're gonna
this.
talk about it right now.
Yeah. So the air conditioner is like, "You're all stupid. We've been here for years. The master's never coming back for you." And they're all like,
has a full meltdown,
yeah,
basically.
And they're all like, well, especially the Toaster is like, "You're just jealous because the master never played with you because you're stuck in a wall." And he's like, and kills himself. Like, he blows himself up.
And they're all horrified by this, but then go on with their life. Like,
yeah. And they're
everything's
like,
fine.
They're like, "You know what? Let's go find the master. Like, he's not coming to us. We'll go to him. We'll go find him."
And like,
but how are we gonna get there?
How are we gonna get there?
Yeah,
on the back of a computer chair.
We have to ruin the cabin first. We have to push the bed down, like the stairs, and we have to jump in the fridge and try and do it with the fridge for some reason. We have to wreck the cabin first. But then they come up with the idea of tying the cord from the vacuum cleaner to this, like you said, computer chair now. Back then, just a mobile chair. Which there was something about this time period, like, because the radio constantly talks about President Roosevelt, I was like, oh, is this supposed to take place in the past? But then later there's computers, and I was like, oh, no, it's not. I thought like maybe this was supposed to be like, 1930s, 40s time period, but it's not. But they figure out that they can hook up a car battery to the outlet so that they can all stay charged and everything like that.
Which, like, wouldn't work long term. Yeah, Pumpkin's here to be like...
Producer Pumpkin has notes.
This movie was traumatic.
Yeah, you're here to help with the therapy, buddy. Thank you.
Therapy cat has arrived.
Yeah. But, and he's on his way. But the, they go on their way, which I was like, why are you guys not following the road? Why are you going through the grass? Which even the vacuum cleaner calls it shag carpeting. Like, he's like, oh, shag carpeting, which I found funny because I was like, yeah, he would think that grass funny. Is shag carpeting and everything.
But yeah, they go like through the woods, and
Mm-hmm.
again, that battery ain't working that long. Like, what are they doing? Like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Also, they don't have long cords. How is this?
We gotta throw it out.
We got to suspend disbelief completely on this one. Like, it's not like watching Toy Story where like toys are like, yeah, they're battery powered, they'll get there. Like,
or whatever, like they're whatever. Like, they just come to life, and when humans are around, they fall down, and we don't notice. But what was I going to say? They're in the woods, and they run into these animals that kind of assault them. But then they're like, oh, eventually they're just like, yeah, we're going to leave now. And the animals are all like, oh, okay, bye.
Bye. It's like, oh, okay, that went way too well.
Yeah, they have a fun song that like it's like a 1980s. Oh, we're going on a fun adventure song.
The travel songs.
Yeah.
I gave it a 6 out of 10.
Okay, I have all the songs down here lower in the notes. I gave it a 7 out of 10. I said great fun start of an adventure song, from an animated 80s movie. It's called City of Light. And it's just sung by the people in the movie. We're going to talk about other songs in a little bit. But so they're on their adventure, and eventually the battery runs out of juice, and they can't go any further. The blanket gets lost up in a tree, and the lamp decides there's a thunderstorm happening, and he's like, all right, I'm going to pretty much try and sacrifice myself to get the battery charged again. And it works out because he doesn't die. He just blows his bulb.
Which, like, he'd be dead, let's be real.
Yeah, and it recharges the battery and everything like that, and they spend the night, I can't remember exactly how it happens, but they end up spending the night in, like, a cave, I think, or something like that.
Yeah.
And the toaster has this horrifying dream of him being stabbed with forks and then used in a tub, like a tub full of water. Like, I was like, oh my god, this is dark. Oh yeah, and there's killer clowns in the dream too for some reason. Oh
yes.
Yeah.
This movie is terrifying. Do not watch it.
No. With children. It is not.
Don't watch it at all.
I called my mother before we started recording and asked her why she let me watch this as a child. And she said it turned me into the tough man that I am today. And I said, no, it didn't. But anyway, they eventually end up getting stuck in this mud, and they're all gonna get sucked into it. And then, what's his name from The Rescuers shows up. I can't remember, Mr. Snoops or Mr. Snipes or whatever his name was. Yeah, he actually does have a name here in this summary. Let me see. Elmo St. Peters is his name. He hears the radio because the radio's signing off. It's like, oh, one last time, blah, blah, blah. And he hears the radio and he pulls them out of the mud, takes them back to their shop, and this is where the Toy Story 2 part comes about. Although it's also kind of a little city from Toy Story 1 at the same time, too. But he takes them back to their shop where it gets revealed that he pulls apart old discarded electronics to sell to people to put in their new electronics and everything. Mm-hmm. And we get this horrific song. I guess I'll skip down to it. It's a Bee Movie sung by Phil Hartman, Donna Oliver, Timothy E. Daly, Timothy Stack, Thurl Ravenscroft, Jerry Reeves, and a chorus. And I wrote down creep factor to the max. I hate it, but it is very well done, and I'm supposed to be uncomfortable, and I gave it an 8 out of 10.
Can't find it, but yeah, I would probably give that around like a 7 out of 10. It was terrifying.
Yeah. They eventually managed to escape. How did they cause a distraction? I'm trying to remember. Using Lampy's sudden idea, the gang manages to scare Elmo and knock him out cold. Okay. As they get the radio back, Blowhorn calls out a jailbreak, and as other refrigerators break down the doors, tosses Elmo's dog, and escapes the shop with other warden-torn appliances. So, yeah, they manage to escape the shop, and they're on their way to the city. They're finally about to reach the city, and it's shown as they enter the city, the kid that they're looking for, man now, about to leave for college, is leaving to go back to the cabin to get them.
I need them for my new apartment at college.
Yeah, and they end up finding his apartment, and at the apartment, they run into all the his parents' apartment, I guess I should say. They run into all the new appliances that are jealous, and they want to be taken off to college with the master. And also, the guy has a girlfriend named Chris. She doesn't really play that much into it, but she's there. She's there for him to have dialogue, I guess, really. Yeah. But
she seems cool.
Yeah, and the new appliances get jealous because they know that the master's looking for the old appliances to take to college, and they end up throwing out the old appliances out the window into a garbage truck. and they get taken to a dumpster, like a dumping site and everything. There's a TV there that was friends with them because he used to be at the cabin, but then got taken back to the house or the apartment, whatever you want to say. And when the master gets back to the house, he's trying to save the appliances. He's telling them all the commercials, like, "Oh,
go to this
junkyard,
yeah, go to this junkyard."
Yeah, and
like it takes them like a good while for them to be like, "Oh yeah, maybe we should go."
Yeah, but eventually they get there. All these antics ensue with this giant magnet that's terrifying and destroying cars.
Destroying cars and like is very mad that he can't destroy these little tiny appliances.
Yeah, I skipped the Cutting Edge song that was in the film that the new appliances sing.
That was creepy. Yeah. Did not like that either.
Sung by Jim Jackman, Susie Allenson, and a chorus. And I wrote down, so I feel like this segment was for the adults watching the movie. Most of the jokes, like the "Order Now" crawl going across the screen, would probably have been lost on the kids watching the movie. That being said, it's nowhere near as creepy as the It's a Bee movie scene, but it's not as good. I'll give it a 5 out of 10.
Yeah, I gave it a 4 out of 10.
Okay. And we're in the junkyard, and we get the song "Worthless," another song, just sung by a chorus here. And I wrote down, so when people wonder why millennials have such anxiety and depression issues compared to other generations, it's because they were exposed to movies like this when they were children. This segment is watching all the cars and other appliances being crushed and destroyed. Jesus Christ. 9 out of 10. I gave it because it's horrible, but it's well done. Like it does what it's supposed to do.
Yeah, I agree with that. I gave it an 8 out of 10.
Yeah. And so anyway, the master, I forget his name, but him and Chris show up at Rob, I guess is his name. Rob and Chris show up at the junkyard, and he manages to recognize some of his old. He's like, "Hey, that's my old blanket.
That's my blankie." Yeah.
And he gets caught on the conveyor belt, and he's going to get crushed. And this is where I guess the name Brave Little Toaster comes from, because they all do the same thing that the toaster does throughout the movie.
Yeah.
The toaster
basically sacrifices herself to, like, save the master by jumping into the gears and stopping the machine.
Agreed.
But then Toaster ends up okay at the end of the day.
Yeah, because Rob fixes the toaster and everything.
Even though Chris is like, you could just buy another one for like $5.
Yeah. Yeah. And then he ends up taking them to college with them, and that's, kind of how the movie ends. The summary here says they can't wait to have more adventures at his dorm.
Apparently they go to space, so apparently they do have lots of adventures.
I know I've seen that one too, because I know I've seen the other Brave Little Toaster movies. I do not remember them at all.
Yeah, I don't remember them.
I like, they're not in my memory at all. But I have some trivia for the film. I don't know if there's anything else you'd like to discuss.
Actually, what I was going to bring up is in your trivia. So, the A113.
Go ahead.
The number that's in all the different Pixar movies, and it's because it's like one of the doors at the room in CalArts where everybody studied, which is pretty much where everyone in Pixar went. So.
Okay.
Yep.
Yep.
I was very well aware of that. When I saw it, I was like, it's in this? I guess this is the first instance of A113, I would assume. Maybe in some shorts they did prior to, like, starting Pixar, but...
That's kind of the only,
That's, like, something that I actually, like, knew about prior to...
Yeah.
So when I saw it, I was like, ooh, fascinating.
Yeah, looking at my trivia right here, that's really the only one that is kind of interesting, to be honest. I do have the differences from the novel. In the novel, the appliances refer to themselves as its instead of genders. In the novel, the character of air conditioner is only mentioned in passing as having died when it passed its expiration date, while in the film he dies from overheating and is later repaired and revived. That's something.
Yes, I did forget. Yeah. Like they did fix him. I was like, I've already dealt with the trauma of him dying. You don't need to bring him back.
Yeah, but then he also has a sad look on his face because he's like, oh, like he did come back. Like
I'm an.
Yeah. Blanky was originally rescued from the tree by 2 squirrels in the novel.
Interesting.
The vacuum's name was changed from Hoover to Kirby, and was the original leader of the group. But then the toaster takes his place. Okay.
Does that mean Hoover dies?
I don't know. No, probably just because I guess you could probably use Hoover in print, but not
Mhm.
in film.
Oh, I mean, like, does Kirby die then in the book? You know what I mean? Like, Toaster takes his
Oh,
place.
possibly. I don't know. Maybe after he's willing to sacrifice himself for the
Mhm.
Masters, they're like, "Oh,
Interesting.
you're the leader now." The cutting edge appliances are sometimes mischievous in the film. I guess in the book they're not. The gang originally encounters a river and they use a boat to cross it, while in the film, they, along with Junko, encounter a waterfall and they form a chain in an attempt to cross it with the office chair. Oh, yeah, Junko was the name of the battery. The battery didn't have a personality, but that was its name. Aside from Ernie and the City Machines, the other characters that were planned to be in the film but never appear include Harold, Marjorie, the ballerina, the telephone, the other blender, the fox, the elevator doors, the compact car, the boat, and 5 more cutting-edge appliances. Okay?
Interesting.
And the original ending was notably different from the film. The appliances find a new owner, the ballerina, rather than Rob to live with. Oh, kind of like, Toy Story 4 or something.
Yeah, interesting.
So that's all I have. I guess we can go into our overall scores. Do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
This movie is terrifying. I would not recommend it to watch with your children. I kind of get why it's not on Disney Plus, though. Like, they'd have to put so many, like, content warnings. Like, so many. This is not meant for children. I don't know why my parents let me watch this movie. I mean, the animation's okay. But it definitely does feel like a early version of Toy Story. And, like, Toy Story is such a good movie that I don't know. It's hard to live up, I guess. I would give it a 6 out of 10.
Okay. And I wrote down, so maybe this will be controversial, but I don't think this movie is appropriate for young children. I said maybe this movie, well, I should have, I think. I think this movie should be PG or PG-13 if it did have a rating. Not that there's anything too inappropriate, but it can be and is very dark. The animation is a little dated, with some parts not looking that great. The songs and the segments they are in do give the appropriate feelings they are trying to convey. However, I feel like the message of this movie is done better in Toy Story, and then again in Toy Story 2, and again in Toy Story 3, and again in Toy Story 4, and most likely again in Toy Story 5, when that comes out. All that being said, it is a good movie, and I'll give it a score of 7.5 out of 10. Yeah, watch Toy Story with your kids. Don't let your kids watch when like how the distributors thought that it was for college age kids. That's fine.
Right.
Yeah.
It's for your teenagers and your college age kids. Don't.
And maybe they'll even get that nostalgic feeling from oh yeah, my blanket when I was a kid, and like my toaster that I played with. Like this kid
That's
has terrible
also
parents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This kid he tells he was playing with his toaster and vacuum.
Yeah. At least it showed the lamp gave him light while he was reading stuff and everything like that.
The toaster thing,
Yeah.
Why does Toaster act like Toaster was playing with him? Was Toaster running around? Was he unplugging the toaster and
I don't know.
What was going on?
Listen, I was born in the 80s and grew up in the 90s and everything. I don't think I ever played with a toaster though. I could be wrong. But
I don't even think I played with a fake play toaster.
Yeah.
A kitchen toaster.
I don't think I did either. My sister had one of those, whatever it was, Barbie kitchen sets or whatever. I probably played with that when I was a kid.
I don't know if it like that. Weird. Just odd all together.
I guess the thing that would be most akin to me would be a toy for boys at that age would have been the creepy crawler thing, because that was just a easy bake oven but for boys. That's all. It was literally the same thing. You put the mold in there, you put it in, and then it comes out. It was an easy bake oven for girls with things that you could eat, or creepy crawlies for boys that were slimy and ooh. You're a boy, you like slime, right? I guess.
You like slime.
It's all over Nickelodeon. Yeah, I guess I like slime. That's what it is.
Nickelodeon tells me I do.
Yeah. And we're going to be talking about a little bit about Nickelodeon very shortly in a future recording.
Yes.
So, anyway, this has been the Once Again Podcast. Any questions, comments, or critiques can be addressed to our email at onceagainpod@gmail.com. Follow us on our social media accounts, Once Again Pod, all one word, on Twitter and Instagram. If you'd like to contribute to the podcast, we have several tiers available on patreon.com/onceagainpod. As always, a like, follow, or share would be greatly appreciated. Thank you and have a wonderful day. And remember, we will entertain you. We will always entertain you. Rumpelstiltskin always says that magic comes with a price. But for this price, you can get a nice piece of jewelry. Use code ONCEPOD for 10% off your first order at Unusual Magic Jewelry on Etsy. Click the link in the description.